Welcome back to Taylor by Nature, where we discuss topics pertaining to nature, which is our nurturing environment. As customary, I will begin with a Bible verse, which today is taken from Isaiah 48, verse 6, which reads, "You have heard these words. Now look at all this. Will you not declare it? For now on, I will reveal to you new things, hidden things that you do not know." I use this as a foundation for our conversation today. And in particular, um, I see a lot of people online discussing things about the Bible for names in particular. And the way they use the names that they have that they see in the Bible, I guess they haven't like studied in detail how the language which the Bible derived from, the Aramaic, how it actually works. Because in the English language, names are looked at as proper nouns. In the Aramaic language, names are looked at as adjectives and verbs. So when someone say a name, they're describing an action that actually took place. So it's descriptive. It's describing something. So we have to take that in consideration because a lot of us see names and see things and just kind of run with it and not and it's not really making sense as far as the Bible itself and how it functions. And so that's one thing we have to consider as avid Bible readers. Um, so that's pretty much this kind of set the foundation for our conversation today. Like I said, many of us unknowingly evangelize religions that contradict our very existence due to the language we speak. Pretty much what I just kind of said a while ago, where we're using terms and words incorrectly. In fact, it's safe to say that the English language is one of the youngest and least informative language, and it was designed to hide the truth. It's pretty much is a veil, pretty much. So a lot of information that was in other languages, a lot of this information didn't make it over to the English language, and even if it made it over, it's actually is coded in a way where you really have to do your research to find out what these words actually mean. Um, so in the language that the original Bible was written in, it was more of a nature um, base language, which means it actually reflects nature. So the language mirrors nature. So the things that is seen in nature, there's things that the language describes. So unlike the English language today, which is more of a synthetic language, the Aramaic language, like I said, it was nature dependent. So you have one of the first language which was nature dependent, and then you have our language today, which is an ideological language, which is the opposite of what it was. The language back then promotes self-care, self-sufficiency, and self-governing, which the language today, they actually promote dependency. So like I said, it's a totally different mindset, totally different understanding of far as the world is concerned. So like I said, instead, what we have right now is a dependency. And you have to look at both in a both, I guess, environmental sense and also in a biological sense. So as we look at that, we have to look at our bodies also, because our body is nature, and the language back then is about nature. So when we read the Bible, we read about cornerstone, we have to think about not outside but inside. What's the cornerstone of who we are, of our existence, which is our bones, which is a cornerstone of our temple. So we have to consider that aspect of as well. So, like I said, the language we had before, it promotes self-care, self-sufficiency, and self-governing, versus, I guess, religion, all those things today. Instead of that, it promotes dependency, which is the cornerstone of all religions, and which is why it has followers to support their ideology and beliefs. And while we busied ourselves with religion, our cornerstone, which, like I mentioned before, which is our temple bodies, our bones, which is a cornerstone, lies in ruin because it's not being maintained by us, because we are busy evangelizing an external savior, when our true savior is us, which should make us pause and reassess our actions to see if it's benefiting us or it's benefiting someone else. Like I said, when trying to answer these questions, which are very complex, we have to consider religion, due to its influence on the language we speak today, because the majority of terminology and belief system that we have, especially in government and in schools, is actually based off religion, especially Christian religion, as far as America is concerned. This means that influential writings such as the Bible, that conveys our language, are more than arbitrary letters and words, and are symbols. We have to think of them just more than that. Like I said, on the contrary, it has a language, and the Bible has a discernible effect on our thoughts as its speakers of the English language. And those effect triggers noticeable behavioral patterns as well as behavioral responses. This makes it, in effect, a program. So when we look at what the effects that language and stuff have on us, it's actually a program. Pretty much it influences our minds and it controls our actions, because those are the things we do and we believe in as a culture. So it should behoove us that we approach the task of answering things about the Bible in a different mindset, in a different worldview. So if we want to understand the worldview before, we have to put ourselves in the mindset of the people who actually wrote this information. And so you're looking at a Shemitic or Adamic mindset. That's the mindset the people had back then. Meaning we must approach that understanding in the way that a Shemitic person would actually approach their language. And one way of doing that is by filtering out the stuff that we think of when we use the English language. A lot of the terminology and belief system, we have to filter that out in order to fully grasp which was taking place within the writing, such as the Aramaic writing. And like I said, the people back then, they perceived the world in a much different way. They perceived the world in a more natural, like a natural environment. Everything was nature-based. They mirror nature, look at nature, respect nature. All this stuff was about natural laws and all these things. So that's one way you have to look at it. So that's like I said, imagine a time when the language that we use were nature-based, meaning it creates images of itself by a mirroring function in nature, like I said earlier. So, like I said, it's a much different mindset than we have today. That early understanding of the world has been abandoned by very, for I guess, malevolent reasons. And those reasons, like I said, are destructive to us because what we see today, we see people doing things based on how they feel and think without any consideration of what they do, how it's going to affect them in the natural world. So, like I said, the malevolent things that's happening, like I said, is actually for the purpose of controlling the population, controlling the people, and overall control of the planet. So that's what we're dealing with today. You may be saying, why is this relevant? Because, like I said, we are definitely being gaslit at a ridiculous level, especially when it comes to religion. And a lot of people may not think of this, or they may not look at it because they don't, I guess because we don't, the letters that make up words, the letters itself actually have meaning. And this one of the things we don't do in the English language. We may look up the prefix or the suffix or the root of the word, but we don't consider the individual letters within the word. And because that's how the language, before English, that's how the language works. They actually put letters together, and those letters that they put together, those letters actually mean something. So each letter actually means something, and because they mean something, that's why they're there. They're not just there because it sounds good. They're there because they actually mean something. So it's a whole different approach to looking at a word and how it's actually put together. For example, in English, if you do a quick Google search for the regarding the Prince of Peace, you will actually get the result of Jesus Christ, right? But when you look at in I guess the first language, the Prince of Peace had nothing to do with Jesus. So as far as the Old Testament is concerned, so you look at the Prince of Peace, it was actually talking about Adam and Eve. That's who the Prince and Peace of princesses. That's actually who it was talking about. So like I said, as far as Christianity is concerned, like I said, they kind of spread that delusion lie about an image, a white image that they call Jesus Christ, actually being the Prince of Peace. And I'm going to, and if you actually dig deeper into the word Jesus and look up the prefix, the suffix, like I said, in Aramaic, they actually read from right to left, versus English, they read from left to right. So like I said, it's an opposite in understanding and belief system. So everything is actually an opposite right now. Pretty much everything is upside down. So when you look at the suffix sus, it actually means pig and swine. A lot of people don't, I guess, probably don't even know that, but that's what those letters actually mean. And even more interesting than that is the J, or the J word, which is the prefix of the word Jesus. It actually represents aggression. And why do I say that? Because that's based on natural laws. Like I said, the language back then was based on natural laws. And the symbols that they use and the image that they use represent those things. Like I said, it mirrors natural law, it mirrors nature. I'm going to give you a quick example of how this is played out in our natural world. The shape and form your mouth makes when we pronounce symbols is what the sun represents based on natural laws that governs nature. As an illustration, I want you to put your teeth together and push air through your clenched teeth and frown at the same time. That right there is a classic expression of aggression. Now, say the J without frowning or growling. It's pretty much hard to do because the same expression when you do the aggression is the same expression you get when you say the word J. Like I said, a lot of people don't consider, like I said, they don't make the connection between the things that we say and its natural reaction within nature. Because the English language, like I said, is a veil, and because it's a veil, it actually keeps us separate from what nature, from the things of nature. So it keeps us separate from it pretty much separates us from our own reality. Also obscured from our reality today is the J expression that exists in most prominently on the heads and horns of oxen and rhinos, which is used to fight, to attack, and to ward off aggressors. And most people don't make the connection. I said they don't make the connection because the nature connection is no longer there with our language. So the J symbol or shape is actually on, like I said, it's on if you look at a ram, oxen, and a rhino, that's where the J symbol came from. Which, like I said, which should make you think about the J sound symbol in a whole different level and its association with certain people and places. So, like I said, everything connects. It's just that the English language disconnect things. So in order to understand the world, we have to go back to connecting things. Like I said, which is why the Most High distinguish between those who are born of Adam or Ada, which we pronounce Adam in English, and those who are born from the fallen angel bloodline. And also, like I said, you'll see that in Genesis 3, verse 15. It's one of the verses that actually kind of give you insight to what's really taking place within the earth. In my ancestral language, they refer to Ada and his wife, which we say Adam and Eve, as the gentle ones, or prince and princesses, kings and queens of peace. That's who they're represented as. So Adam and Eve in our writing is referred to as kings, princes, princesses, kings and queens of earth or of peace. And how do we know this? Because this information is readily accessible in your Hebrew concordance by looking up the word gent or gentle. And like I said, many of us don't really get into using the concordance, especially the Hebrew concordance, and see what those words actually mean when they were used back then. Because their definition today is a far cry from what they actually mean. So, like I said, if you look up the word gent or gentle in the Hebrew lexicon, you will see that it means, you see what it actually means. You also find out that the proper noun or pronunciation from the gentle ones is the word Tiama, which is where the name Tiamat or Tiamat come from, which is an abbreviation, which is abbreviated by stranger as Tom, which is Atawa'ama. So the first male and female was named Atawa'ama or Adawa'ama. Remember, the D and T sound are interchangeable. So when you look, some may say Ata, some tribes or language may say Ata Wa'ama, or some may say Ada Wa'ama. So their names actually, like I told you about, like I said, the language we used before was based on nature. And their names actually mean complete, pious, gentle, dear. It also means one who is morally and ethically pure, coupled together, perfect, plain, upright, and undefiled. So that is what the word that's what describing the prince and princess or king and queen of peace. So those are some of the description that they had back then in the Aramaic. Like I said, things have changed. So we went from Adam and Eve being the prince of peace to, in today's language, where it's changed to someone named Jesus Christ being Prince of Peace. Like I said, things have changed, but nature have not changed. And because nature have not changed, we have to go back to nature, because that's the only true way for us to understand where we are, what we're doing, and how to benefit and gain a true sense of what's taking place in the world. Because our biology have not changed, nature have not changed, the reality around us have not changed. The only thing that's changed is our language. And that's what's causing confusion within the world today. As you can see, the animals have not changed, because the animal still follows natural laws. The only thing on this planet that have changed is the language of men. And this language have become our Achilles heel as far as our destruction within the earth. I guess I mentioned before, I heard someone said that the English language is the opposite of the language we spoke before. So it's the opposite of nature. And so we have become more destructive because the language we use is not in line with natural law, is not in line with us being stewards of the earth. So we have become a destruction within the earth. Like I said, there are two offspring. So you have the son of Adam, the son of man, and the son of the fallen angels, which is called the sons of destruction. And of course, we could see their destructive work every day we watch the news. Thanks for hanging out, and I hope this provide value. Please subscribe and share. I will continue to do more research into languages, like I said, words, what they mean, and this kind of give me an idea how to start looking at the Bible in particular, because, like I said, it's nature based versus ideologically based. Talk to you guys next time.